Shall we look at it? I go to our site section, and let's say I want to configure a site assessment. I click on the create new form button, and I've got a bunch of options there. And one of them is to create this from using a document. I upload this kind of a document. Text is not readable, ignore that. We've got 4 sections here. We've got a number of questions under these sections. The questions range from like fill in the blank types to yes, no, to select an option, e-signature, and all that. There is no set format for this kind of thing, as I said earlier. You can upload whatever you got today. I upload this document, and then after a few seconds, I get this notification that the job is done, the form is configured. I click OK, and I can see configured, it's in the draft. First, as I said, Leo only recommends. It doesn't take charge. It always comes back to you with recommendations. It asks you to review, and it has done. I've got an edit icon here. I click on it. That fires up the self-serve form editor. You can use to change the form in the way you like. I can see that all my 4 sections are properly configured. I can click through them. I can look inside all the questions. All the questions are exactly and properly configured based on the document that was uploaded. I can change anything I like. I can add to it. I can accept the changes, the form. I can reject the form. It's totally my choice. Let me illustrate another example of doing so with a different sort of a document and in a different place. So now I'm in the patient log section. And we've built self-service tools for the patient logs too. Like, you will have access to these tools in a couple of months, but being an Exxat employee, I've got the access to them right now. So I log in with my account. I can see the self-serve tools. Along with it, I can see the option to create a patient log from a document. And this time, I upload a totally different kind of a document. That was generated from a spreadsheet. It looks completely different. The sections here are just in a column. There are some mistakes. There are some empty lines and all that. I don't bother to correct any of that. Whatever I got, I just uploaded into Leo. And Leo, it's done. I see there. I click on the edit button, and it's configured perfectly and ready for me to update, to change, to use or not to use, whatever I want. These are the 3 sections. These are the questions, all created exactly as per the document that was uploaded. We are really excited about this feature. You will have access. You do have access to this for certain cases like site assessments already. You should try them out. And for others, you will have them access very soon. The third AI feature I want to talk about is evaluation summaries. Leo is now able to look at your evaluation data holistically and summarize that at a group or a class level. Now, when it does that, it not only analyzes the numerical data, but also the text and the qualitative data. It shows you the big picture and the main issues immediately. It automatically identifies common themes, and it allows you to drill down into responses. And in order to do this, you have to do basically nothing. I test this out by going into our evaluation section. I open up a preceptor evaluation of students. The evaluations have been completed. There's a whole bunch of entries. And basically how the evaluation actually looks like. It has section has a bunch of questions around competencies or other things, and that are scored on a Likert scale. So I see an insights button next to my evaluations. I click on that, and this was a set of insights generated at the class level automatically by Leo. I can see a higher level summary on the top, but also a paragraph giving the gist of the matter. Leo automatically identifies some of the things that the class is doing really well on. So for example, in this case, it says that the class as a whole is doing really well on communication and professionalism. It also identifies that some students need more focus on their examination technique and procedural confidence. As we scroll down, we see a more detailed breakdown of this summary into highlights. We see a whole bunch of themes automatically identified from the question, the evaluation, to the textual responses that have been provided. And each of these themes is scored on its overall sentiment. We further scroll down, we see more analysis of the sentiment, and we also see a quantitative analysis of all the questions that have been asked. We can click on these categories, we can drill down into the responses. So, evaluation summaries works automatically, nothing to do, automatically summarizes, gives you the whole picture at the class level, and then guides your focus as you drill down into the details. The fourth feature that we are announcing is really something I'm very, very excited about. I think this is going to help our students and our programs in a big way. This is Leo's compliance smart check. What Leo does here is as soon as a student uploads their immunization record or any other compliance document, it reads through it. It compares that with all the requirements and preferences the school has. And it automatically points out any errors instantly. So it prevents, process. It makes onboarding extremely fast. It reduces risk. And yes, this feature is entirely HIPAA compliant. Let's look at it. I go to Prism and log in as a dummy student. This is my dashboard. On the top right, I can see my compliance tile. I click on View All Requirements and see a whole bunch of requirements, and I select the hepatitis B immunization requirement, and I want to get started with it. I click on that, and I have an upload button here to upload my documentation. I click on that, and this is what I get, a normal view. But in addition to this normal view, we've got this little blue rectangle on the top right, which tells the student that they can now use this AI feature to automatically detect any problems. Why do we not do so automatically? Because the information involved here is sensitive, it's personal. We wait and ask students permission before we can actually use this, process this information, and generate these insights for them. This is a request for consent. The student clicks here and accepts the consent, and then immediately the view on the page changes, and on top, we see a Leo Smart Check description. It says that Leo is going to automatically review and point out any errors. The student then uploads a file. In this case, I uploaded a long immunization history. I took the document from my doc and uploaded it. Now, Leo summarizes what it saw in the document, and it also highlights that it found some issues. In particular, in this case, it found the issue that a titer was also required in addition to the immunization, but has not been uploaded. And there's no information about that in this document. So I said, okay, I click on this upload file button again, and additionally upload a titer exactly in the same place. And now, Leo is telling me that we are good to go. This is one example of a kind of check that Leo performs. Leo can perform thousands of checks on these documents. It can compare what is entered in the form versus what is achieved or not. It can, prevent all sorts of errors right in the beginning. It all happens instantly and automatically. I'm really excited about this feature. This is a feature that is ready to use and for beta testers to grab it. And finally, what if the student changes their mind and says, oh, for whatever reason, I don't want to use this anymore. I'm so privacy. Even if we have all that, they don't want to use it. Well, they can just click on that angle again, and they can decline their consent at any point they want. They don't have to speak to anybody. They can just do that. It's all in their control because it's their data. That's our Leo Smart Check. Before we jump into the fifth AI feature, I want to just talk quickly about assessment module or the exam module that Aarti alluded to. This is a whole new module we are working on. As we are expanding the Exxat platform to solve for the entirety of practice-based education, we see that there are these few modules which are missing. that we need. And more importantly, these are areas where what we do today is somehow subpar, not fitting with the current state of technology. And so we think that we can make improvements here. And one of these areas is assessments. So Exxat has started building an assessment modules for you. Now, today, I'm not going to talk in detail about this module, but I'm going to talk about one of the features that we've recently added to this module that I want to just showcase to you. But this is a platform that is going to make assessments modern. It's going to ground assessment on sound theory and analytics. And it's going to make them absolutely inexpensive, both the formative and the summative assessments. It's going to provide a secure online environment for the assessments or the exams to be taken or the quizzes to be taken. And over time, it's going to make assessments personalized and adaptive and make it so easy that it'll be an everyday practice to have these kind of assessments. And for this and any of the new modules we're building, we've created a whole new technology architecture that is AI first, that assumes that it's not just people, but also AI agents who are going to be operating on the same system, and we take care of all of that right from the get-go. Now, let's look at the feature I was talking about. So we built into this assessment modules a feature to automatically create questions and the whole assessment even from exactly the course material that has been shared and taught to the students. It's perfectly aligned. If you don't want Leo to step outside the boundaries of the course material, it'll strictly stick to that and test exactly that, at the same time like covering the entirety of it and balancing it with all sorts of variety and the difficulty of questions. You can specify the level of difficulty you want, and again, as usual, Leo only recommends. You can modify whatever you see. You can accept or reject. Let's look into this. So once we have this module available to you, again, this is my account, and as I said, I've got some special privileges in our own platform, so I can see an assessment modules here. And I click on that. I see a list of assessments, which is basically empty. I go ahead and add a blank assessment. Let's say we want to create an assessment for community service for PhD students. I go and make some settings. I say that I want this to have a total of 20 points and give me an assessment that takes about 20 minutes to complete. And then that's a blank assessment. Then I click on this Leo button on the right, asking it for help to generate questions for this assessment. And this is what it opens up. It asks me to upload a file. And in this case, I upload lecture notes that I've used to teach my students, exact lecture notes. And I want the assessment to be bound within these lecture notes. I do not want Leo to use any of his general knowledge to create these questions. Leo, as soon as I upload this document, Leo automatically determines this is detailed course content, and I must not step outside the boundary of it. I put in some more settings, primarily stating that I want it to be a quiz of medium difficulty, and then I click on the Generate Questions button. Leo analyzes the document for a moment, and then we've got a whole bunch of questions ready. I can look through the questions. There's a whole variety of questions of different types. I can see their details. I can modify whatever I want. I can add new questions. I can delete other things. I can edit these questions. I can change their options. I can do whatever I want. And once I'm satisfied, I just click on the save button on the right, and we're done. This is just one of the many things we are building in our assessment module. This feature is built out, but as the module is not yet launched, you cannot access it yet. But we will be talking more about it in future. We are very excited about this whole module and all the AI capabilities that we'll be giving with this. The final feature that I want to talk about is report creation using Leo. Now, we are increasingly expanding the scope of our self-service reporting tools, and you are able to create your own reports yourself and constantly adding more and more data sets to it. But we realize that creating this first report is still a rather time-consuming affair. And we've thought, is there a better way? And yeah, why don't we just describe the report to Leo? Why don't we just specify the objective of the report to Leo? Can Leo help us build out this first complicated report by itself? Yeah, it can. Now it's very fast and efficient. And once it is done, you can modify these reports through the self-service tools yourself. I'm not going to demo this feature today because tomorrow we have a session on custom reporting. And I would like as many of you as possible to attend that and see this feature in action. These are the dates when these features are going to be available. A whole bunch of them are available right now. And the others will be coming in a couple of months, and the assessment module will come up in next year. While these are amazing features, this is really just the tip of the iceberg of what we have in plan with AI. AI is an amazing technology. We believe is going to transform practice-based education, and Exxat is determined to be the leader in this transformation. And we want to make this change as seamless, smooth, and real possible for you. But in order to do, we need to work together. I encourage all of you to test out these features, and the other ones we'll be launching in future in the beta mode. Provide us feedback, maybe help work with us in curating public data sets that is going to benefit the entire ecosystem. Maybe work with us to come up with new ways of solving problems that we've always had, but in the AI-first manner. If there's one thing I can point to that led to Exxat success in the past, it has been the fact that instead of listening to the competitors or worrying about what others are doing, Exxat always works with their customers. It tries to understand their preferences, their priorities, their problems firsthand, and try to come up with original solutions to them. I hope we can continue this trend. Also, if in future Leo starts to grade papers and the students don't like it, I can come back to you and say, then it was your idea, not mine. I hope you have a great next couple of days. I'm really looking forward to the event, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you and talking about this topic even more. Thank you very much.
Here to make your lives easier, please welcome to the stage prior faculty and now Vice President of Customer Experience, Dr. Vishaka Bhave.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Are people, folks back sitting in the back, able to hear me well? Okay, thank you. All right. So we all heard Aarti mention practice readiness, elevating students' competencies. And we just saw Arun demonstrate the power of innovative technology. Building on this foundation, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk all of you through a series of student performance tracking tools, which can help you. Oops. I think I ended it. Can you put it on for me? Thank you. There you go. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to focus on what tracking tools can Exxat Prism provide you to do just that, to help you generate practice-ready students. So up until 10 years ago, how did we measure student success? It was pretty straightforward. You had the students pass their coursework, fulfill some graduation or program requirements, and they were good to go. But is that the state of the state today? No. Things have changed. And there are a lot more expectations from the graduates today than about 10 years ago. Today, in addition to passing their courses, in addition to fulfilling the program and graduation requirements, there is an expectation from graduates to showcase competence in certain specific skill sets for their profession, in professional behaviors, and in ability to perform some real world activities that are demanded by their profession. And this is for them to prove that they are essentially ready to enter the workforce. So how can we help our programs make this journey of student success, to make them practice ready? So if we think about student success in the center, what should a good platform give educators the ability to do. So let's start with the basics. A good platform should always allow the educators to collate both their didactic and clinical data into one platform, right? Because today, let's be honest, most of our data is fragmented across multiple systems. When I was a faculty, I had logins to at least 8 to 10 different systems for managing different parts of the data. Some of it for student documentation, some for advising, some for didactic exams, some for clinical evaluations. And as you heard from Aarti, we want to change that for you. So that's the first and the most important thing that Exxat, Prism, and Exxat is thinking about. How can we help you get more and more of your data into one system? Secondly, you also want a tool that can clearly allow you to define the expectations, the competencies from your students, so that you're providing full visibility and they know exactly what they need to achieve. We allow you to do that. Third, you want a really good tool that can help you track how the students are getting exposed to some of these skills, some of these knowledge bases. And then you also want to track to what extent are they achieving them. Once you've done that, a good platform should not leave you at that. It should give you some tools that allows you to identify those struggling and lagging students in real time. Because you're not going to open each assessment every day to do that tracking. That's not manually possible or feasible. And then once you've identified those students, are you getting any good tools to provide the academic support to them? Maybe through advising, maybe through academic improvement plans. And last but not the least, a good platform always gives you actionable insights and dashboards. So in the next several slides, what I want to do is I want to take you through some of the examples of tracking tools that we have built in Exxat Prism, keeping this vision in mind. Sorry, I'm having some trouble progressing the slides. There you go. So we've worked with 60 plus disciplines, and we have a huge spectrum of tracking needs that they have discussed with us. And in the next few slides, I'm going to showcase some selected impactful tracking tools that you'll see. Maybe you've not used all of them. I'm going to show examples from multiple disciplines. But of course, we'll not be able to cover all the different examples that we have in Exxat Prism. But I do want you to rest assured that whatever tracking tools and capabilities I'm going to showcase are equally applicable to each discipline. So if you don't see data for your discipline, just blame it on the 30 minutes that I have. And tomorrow we'll take on, come find me or any of our account managers and Exxat team members and talk to them about how you can leverage some of those features. So let's get started. We'll start with the basics. So we talked about how the expectation now is beyond passing course grades, but that doesn't make course grades obsolete. That's the starting point. So we are covering our base, and we are saying that we've given you evaluations for both didactic and clinical assessments in Exxat Prism. We've given you a course gradebook dedicated for each course that can allow you to see the summary of how your student has performed for that course. Exxat Prism can also give you aggregate reports based on your evaluations and aggregate reports at a question level. And you'll get to see a little bit more of that when Yash and Kunal show it to you. So that covers, if you're interested in tracking course-based performance for your students, these 4 high-level features will allow you to do that sufficiently. Next slide. So this is a sample gradebook we have, and you probably, most of you are familiar with this and have used it. You're able to set up weightages for each of your assessments, and our system calculates the overall score of the student based on these assessments. Via our aggregate report, you're not only able to see how the student performed, but you're also able to see the class average and the question level average. And these data points allow you to do the benchmarking and see if your student is performing under the class or at par with class. So that was about course-based tracking. Now let's take a few minutes and talk about tracking competencies, because with every year, we are seeing new disciplines entering and starting their transition towards competency-based education. So I do want to take some time and tell you what we've been able to do in this area. So when we talk about tracking competencies, you can broadly divide it up into two buckets. One is you want to expose your students to some of these competencies, and you want to track how they're getting exposed to them. But then you also want to measure to what extent have they achieved it. And these two are different things. You as educators understand this. We cannot provide data for exposure and say that our students have met it, because students meeting competencies can only come from objective assessments that are done by faculty or educators or supervisors, right? Most of the time, tracking of exposure is usually self-reported. So here, tracking exposure can be done via patient logging, via activity logs, via time categories, timesheets and categories, and it's typically student self-reported. And then we give you exact scores and how the students are performing on some of these competencies via real assessments done by faculty and supervisors. Now, these assessments could be score-based, we support that, or it could be non-score based, like some of our SLP programs who like to track their student competencies via CASA form. And that is non-score based. It's qualitative, where a faculty or an educator goes and marks off or checks off the student that the students have met these competencies. We are able to support both of them. So let's look at some examples. This is an DNP activity log that our nursing graduate students use. And on the left, you can see that the student, while they are in the rotations and doing these activities, they can check off some of the essentials that they got exposed to. And for nursing, essentials are their competencies. On the right-hand side, based on that data, we give you, the administrators, a nice view of how much time or how many times was each competency covered for the students. Another way of tracking is via patient logging, and a lot of you here use patient logs, right, for your student exposure. This is a great way to track how your students are getting exposed to some of the lifespan, gender, and equity related